Listen to me carefully. The way you allow someone to treat you is the way you teach them your value. And if you don't set this boundary, love will slowly turn into loss. Now let me say this out loud, because many women were never taught this love does not require you to disappear. The first boundary every woman must set in a relationship is self-worth. This is the line that says, I am valuable even when I am inconvenient. I matter even when I say no. Without this boundary, you start negotiating your dignity for connection. And that's not love. That's fear wearing a romantic mask. I've seen it happen again and again. A woman silences her needs to keep the peace. She laughs at jokes that hurt her. She accepts disrespect because she's afraid that asking for more will make her too much. But here's the truth that no one tells you. When you abandon yourself, the relationship learns how to abandon you too. Self-worth is the courage to say, this doesn't feel right to me even when your voice shakes. It's the strength to walk away from anything that requires you to shrink, beg, or betray yourself just to belong. You don't set this boundary to control someone else. You set it to protect your soul. Because the moment you believe you are worthy of respect, consistency, and emotional safety, you stop accepting crumbs and start demanding nourishment. And the right relationship will never ask you to bleed just to prove you love. This boundary changes everything. Let me tell you something that may shake you a little. Love without emotional safety is not love, it's survival. The second boundary every woman must set in a relationship is the boundary of emotional safety. This is the line that says, I will not stay where my feelings are dismissed, mocked, or weaponized against me. Because when your emotions become something you have to hide, you're no longer in a relationship. You're in self-protection mode. Emotional safety means you can speak without fear of punishment. It means your tears are not used as evidence of weakness. It means conflict does not come with threats, silence, or emotional withdrawal. And if you've ever felt your chest tighten before expressing how you feel, your body already knows this boundary has been crossed. Many women were taught to be easy understanding, low maintenance. But let me be clear, being emotionally low maintenance often means emotionally self-neglecting. You start minimizing your pain so someone else doesn't feel uncomfortable. You say, it's not a big deal, while your heart quietly disagrees. This boundary requires courage. Because when you say, I need to feel safe when I share my truth, you risk being misunderstood. But here's the thing, the right partner leans in, not away. They don't roll their eyes at your emotions. They don't gaslight your experience. They listen. They care. Emotional safety is not about never fighting. It's about knowing that even in conflict, you will not be emotionally abandoned. And the moment a woman chooses safety over silence, everything shifts. She stops shrinking. She stops apologizing for feeling deeply. And she finally learns that her emotions are not the problem, they are the signal. Let me be honest with you. How someone speaks to you reveals how they see you. The third boundary every woman must set in a relationship is respectful communication. This is the line that says, you don't get to hurt me and call it honesty, because cruelty wrapped in truth is still cruelty. Respectful communication means no name calling, no sarcasm meant to cut, no yelling designed to intimidate, and absolutely no silent treatment used as punishment. When communication becomes a weapon, love turns into a battlefield, and no one thrives in a war zone. So many women excuse harmful words because they came during anger. They didn't mean it. They were just upset, but let me tell you something powerful. Anger doesn't create disrespect. It reveals it. The words that come out in heated moments show what's been sitting beneath the surface all along. This boundary requires you to say calmly and firmly, you can be upset, you can disagree, but you cannot speak to me this way. And yes, that might feel terrifying the first time you say it, because you've been taught that asserting yourself risks abandonment. But staying silent costs you something far more dangerous, your self-respect. Healthy communication is not about being perfect with words. It's about repair. It's about accountability. It's about choosing connection over domination. The right partner doesn't try to win arguments, they try to understand impact. And here's the truth: when a woman refuses to tolerate disrespectful communication, she stops teaching people that her heart is a place where messiness and me-ness are allowed to live. You deserve words that build, not break. Let me say this plainly, because it needs to be heard. What someone consistently gives their time to is what they value. The fourth boundary every woman must set in a relationship is the boundary of time and attention. This is the line that says, I will not compete for presence in my own relationship. Because love that only shows up when it's convenient slowly teaches you that you are optional. Time is not just hours on a clock. Time is listening. Time is following through. Time is showing up emotionally, not just physically. And when a woman accepts scraps of attention, she starts confusing inconsistency with excitement and exhaustion with passion. Many women overfunction here. They wait. They adjust. They stay available just in case. They silence their disappointment because they don't want to seem needy. But let me be clear, asking for consistency is not asking for too much. It's asking for the bare minimum. This boundary means you stop chasing availability. You stop explaining why you deserve to be prioritized. You stop rearranging your life for someone who won't rearrange a single hour for you. Because when you do that, you're not being patient. You're abandoning yourself again. The right relationship understands that attention is a form of care, that presence is a form of love, that being emotionally reachable is not a burden, it's the point. When a woman sets this boundary, she no longer waits to be chosen. She chooses herself first. And from that place, she invites only the kind of love that shows up fully, consistently, and without needing to be begged. Your time is sacred. Protect it. Let me tell you, a hard truth confusion is not a sign of depth. It's a sign of dishonesty or avoidance. The fifth boundary every woman must set in a relationship is honesty and transparency. This is the line that says, I will not build intimacy on half-truths, secrets, or emotional fog, because trust cannot survive where clarity is absent. Honesty isn't just about not lying. It's about being emotionally available. It's about saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It's about not keeping someone guessing about where they stand. And when a woman accepts vagueness, she often ends up doing all the emotional labor, connecting dots that shouldn't be missing in the first place. Many women tolerate this because uncertainty can feel hopeful. Maybe they'll open up. Maybe it will change. But hope without honesty slowly turns into self-betrayal. You start questioning your intuition. You start doubting your needs, and eventually you start distrusting yourself more than the situation. This boundary requires bravery, because when you ask for clarity, you risk hearing an answer you don't want. But let me be very clear, clarity is kinder than false hope, always. A healthy partner doesn't hide behind ambiguity. They don't keep you emotionally suspended. They understand that transparency is an act of respect, not exposure. They know that love grows where truth lives. When a woman insists on honesty, she stops romanticizing confusion. She stops chasing explanations. And she starts standing firmly in what is real, because real may be uncomfortable, but it will never slowly erase her. Truth is not too much to ask for. It's the foundation. Let me say something that challenges a lot of old stories about love. A healthy relationship does not consume you. It complements you. Sixth boundary every woman must set in a relationship is personal space and independence. This is the line that says, I am allowed to have a life that exists beyond you. Because love that demands constant access eventually becomes control, not connection. Personal space means time to breathe, to think, to grow. It means friendships that don't require permission, dreams that don't need approval, silence that isn't punished. And when a woman gives up her independence in the name of closeness, she slowly loses touch with who she is, and then wonders why she feels lonely even while partnered. Many women mistake intensity for intimacy. They believe constant texting equals care, that jealousy equals passion. But let me be clear, love does not monitor. It trusts. And when someone reacts to your independence with guilt, suspicion, or anger, that's not romance. That's insecurity looking for control. This boundary requires you to stay whole, to say, I love you and I still need my own space. And yes, that can feel frightening if you've been taught that love requires self-sacrifice, but self-erasure is not devotion. The right partner celebrates your individuality. They don't feel threatened by your growth. They don't need to shrink your world to feel secure in your heart. When a woman honors this boundary, she brings her full self into the relationship, not a smaller, quieter version designed to keep the peace. And that kind of wholeness, that's where real intimacy lives. You are allowed to be connected and free at the same time. Let me tell you something important. The absence of conflict is not a sign of health. The presence of accountability is. The seventh boundary every woman must set in a relationship is how conflict is handled. This is the line that says, problems will be addressed, not avoided, and harm will be owned, not denied, because love that refuses accountability slowly teaches you to carry pain alone. Conflict is inevitable. What matters is what happens next. Our concerns dismissed, our mistakes minimized, our apologies replaced with excuses when a woman is forced to get over it. Without repair, the wound doesn't heal, it hardens. Many women become the emotional janitors of their relationships. They clean up messes they didn't make. They initiate every hard conversation. They accept partial apologies just to restore peace. But let me be clear, peace without accountability is just silence wearing a smile. This boundary requires you to expect repair, to say, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for responsibility. A healthy partner listens when you're hurt. They reflect instead of deflect. They understand that saying, I'm sorry, means changed behavior, not just softer words. Accountability is not shame. It's courage. It's the willingness to look at your impact and choose growth over ego. And when someone refuses this boundary, they're telling you they value comfort more than connection. When a woman sets this boundary, she stops carrying the relationship on her back. She stops absorbing blame that isn't hers. And she learns that love isn't proven by avoiding hard moments, but by showing up fully when they arrive. Conflict handled with care builds trust. Anything else slowly breaks it. Let me say this clearly, because too many women were taught the opposite. Your body and your heart are not bargaining tools. The eighth boundary every woman must set in a relationship is physical and emotional intimacy. This is the line that says, I choose closeness. I am never pressured into it. Because intimacy without consent, safety, and readiness is not connection. It's compliance. True intimacy grows from trust, not obligation, from desire, not fear of losing someone. And when a woman feels guilted, rushed, or manipulated into physical or emotional closeness, her body often says what her mouth was afraid to speak by shutting down. Many women override their own discomfort because they don't want to disappoint. They say yes when they mean no. They share deeply before they feel safe because vulnerability feels like the price of being loved. But here's the truth. Real intimacy never requires self-betrayal. This boundary means you honor your pace. You listen to your body. You respect your emotional readiness. It means understanding that closeness should feel grounding, not draining. Safe, not stressful. Wanted, not owed. A healthy partner doesn't pressure. They don't sulk when you set limits. They don't treat access to you as entitlement. They understand that intimacy is sacred and that patience is part of respect. When a woman sets this boundary, she stops confusing attention with affection. She stops trading pieces of herself for reassurance. And she learns that intimacy is most powerful when it is freely given, fully felt, and deeply safe. Your no is not rejection. Your yes should always feel like truth. Let me say something that's hard. But freeing love alone is not enough if you're growing in opposite directions. The ninth boundary every woman must set in a relationship is shared values and willingness to grow. This is the line that says, I will not shrink my future to make someone else comfortable, because staying aligned matters more than staying attached. Growth means evolution. It means healing old wounds, learning new skills, and becoming more honest with ourselves. And when a woman is committed to growth while her partner resists it, She often ends up carrying both the relationship and the future on her shoulders. Many women stay because of potential, because of history, because they hope love will eventually inspire change. But here's the truth we don't say enough. You cannot drag someone into growth. They have to choose it. This boundary asks real questions. Do we value honesty, accountability, emotional health? Do we want similar futures? Or are we avoiding those conversations because we're afraid of the answers? When these questions are ignored, resentment quietly takes root. A healthy partner doesn't mock your growth. They don't feel threatened by your healing. They don't ask you to pause your evolution so they can stay the same. They may not grow at the same pace, but they move in the same direction. When a woman sets this boundary, she stops clinging to who someone used to be. She stops negotiating her dreams, and she gives herself permission to choose alignment over attachment, because a future built on shared values feels expansive, not heavy. Growth should bring you closer, not cost you yourself. Let me leave you with this truth, because it's the one that changes everything. The strongest boundary a woman can ever set is the decision to choose herself without guilt, without apology, without fear. All the boundaries we've talked about come down to this moment. The moment you stop asking, will this make them leave? And start asking, what will it cost me if I stay? Because love that requires self-abandonment is not love, it's endurance. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop loving deeply. It means you stop loving at your own expense. It means you no longer tolerate confusion, disrespect, emotional neglect, or inconsistency just to avoid being alone. And let me say this clearly, loneliness inside a relationship is far more damaging than solitude ever will be. When a woman chooses herself, she doesn't become cold. She becomes clear. She doesn't build walls. She builds standards. She understands that boundaries are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to love her well. Invitations to meet her with honesty, courage, and care. Some people will rise to these boundaries. Others will walk away. And both outcomes are information. Because the ones who leave were benefiting from your silence. And the ones who stay are capable of meeting you in truth. Either way, you win yourself back. So here is the ending I want you to remember. You are not too much. You were just asking the wrong person to meet you at the depth you deserve. Set the boundary. Hold the line. And never apologize for protecting your heart. That is not selfish. That is brave.